Hi, my name is Terry Charles. I began researching the ALTO high speed rail project a few weeks ago, and I was really concerned because when I did my undergrad, learned about a type of clay called Lita clay, which can go from solid to liquid really easily. The proposed route for the ALTO train goes over many communities that are built on this Lita clay. And it is a real danger, and people have lost their lives because of these mudslides that happen when there's too much mass or force or the ground sonic booms that these trains can create. So I felt that I had to do something about it. I did send emails out and I did ask questions. I made a YouTube video that talks a little bit about this Lita clay and I shared that with people. But I think there are definitely less and more effective ways to get the message out that this project really should be stopped in its current form. So as a teacher, I thought we'd grade some of them. One way that I think a lot of people are really into and are engaging in is social media posts and emails. To be honest with you, though, I think this is probably the least effective way of getting the message out that this project should be stopped or severely revised. The thing with emails is politicians are going to get so many of them, the corporation is going to get them, they just filter them out. You'll probably get some sort of auto reply, and then they have the justification to say, oh, well, we did reply, but really it's a nothing. I got a letter back from the Minister of Transportation and just another form letter that basically said how wonderful the project was. And it was into response to me emailing about the dangers of this Lita clay and how that there had been no reference to it. They didn't really read anything and they didn't watch my video. Like, this is putting people's lives in danger. So my suggestion is there's probably better ways of spending your time, and don't get involved in an argument with bots or people that are for this project. Like, as soon as you argue with them, you're legitimizing their position. So don't do that. Don't waste your time. It's way more valuable. I'm going to give that a D. So social media and emailing, I'm going to say that's a D. Let's go to a different thing. Meeting politicians in person or talking to committees or councils, I think that's much more effective. You're not going to be affected by algorithms that are going to manipulate who or what are going to see or read the information that you want to share with them. And I think there is a much stronger connection face to face with people where they might be able to empathize and reconsider their views. That is a really powerful way. You may not have access. Sometimes your politicians are busy or they might be trying to block you out. But I think that's a B. Another thing, this is one that with technology we've really underrated, but writing letters to newspapers and getting your voice heard on talk radio, I think that's really big. Professor Scott Galloway talks about his resist and unsubscribe initiative in the States really picked up after letters to NPR. So old school is sometimes the best school. And being an old teacher, I can agree with that. So don't be afraid to call into those talk radio shows. Write letters to your editor, your opinion pieces, to city newspapers, to local newspapers if you still have them. I think that will actually make a really big difference. So that's a B+. We're going to give that a B+. Going to the consultations. From what everyone is saying, they are completely useless. You're not going to get good information. If you have a really important question, they're probably not going to answer it, or they say we don't have the answers, or it's not at that point in the project yet. But I think what's important is what they're not saying. So take lots of pictures. One of the most important pictures that came out of the consultation in Gatineau, where the train is not even running. Why aren't there consultations in places where the proposed route actually is going to be? Was a map of the proposed route, and it did follow, at least in the Ottawa area, some of the existing rail lines, which means if you live in Barrhaven or Richmond, Nepean, Ottawa South, that your home might be expropriated or stolen. So these are things that you really want to be aware of. Go to the consultations, find out what they're not saying, because I think that tells you a lot of information, and it also gives you agency to figure out, to push them. And one of the most important things, and that's B plus, I think. What I'm going to say is the most important thing, and this is going to be your A mark, is talking to your family, talking to your friends, talking to your neighbors. Get the word out. I think most people still don't know about the ALTO high-speed rail project. Talk about the environmental effects. Having rail lines going through areas, especially where there are no lines already, that's habitat fragmentation. You're going to be damaging populations of wildlife. That affects our people that love the environment. That affects our hunters. The other thing too, I talked about Lita clay. That's the danger. So, and it happens all around. In Barrhaven, there was an Amazon warehouse that had to be rebuilt because they didn't take into consideration the fact that this clay is just not safe. And the last thing is the cost. So I think one of the politicians was saying that it's going to cost $8,000 per family. And I think he was being a little bit conservative, because if you actually look at how much extra it's going to cost to deal with things like the Lita clay, or if you just look at how much extra overrun there's been in major rail projects in the last 20 years, we're not talking $8,000 per family. We're talking $20,000 per family or higher. So these are all things that you might want to think about in terms of political action. I know this is scary, but we're stronger than they know. Okay, I forgot the bonus question, because there's always like bonus marks if you're really smart. Here's the bonus marks. If you live in Eastern Ontario or Western Quebec and the ALTO Corporation are coming around surveying, you do not have to let them onto your property. Say no. The less data they have, the better it is for us to try to stop this project. So just say no. Don't let them on your property. That's an A+. All right, I wish you well, and keep up the good fight.